folks, Baker here from Big Boy Beats, back with another episode of Baker Does Beats. Slightly different video tonight. It's going to come in two parts, so I'm going to be recording it in two parts. It's currently 19 minutes past 10 UK time, evening. Wife's out for a few drinks with friends, little girl's in bed, so I'm going to do what I always do and jump in the studio and try and make some music and hopefully you guys can learn something from it in the process. So what I'm going to be using tonight is I'm going to be using some sounds from a website called Splice. You've heard me talk about Splice before. It's a website where you basically subscribe, you pay X amount of money per month and you get credits to spend on samples. The benefits are as if you use sample packs from the likes of Loop Masters or Sounds to Sample, you spend anything between £20 and £50 on a sample pack, whereas if you go with Splice you can hand pick the samples that you want and you don't end up with having a library full of samples that you're never going to use. So what I'm going to start to do, and all I did really is I went onto the website, clicked onto sounds, and I used the top pack from the sound spotlight section, and it's called the Splice Sounds Rooftop After Hours pack. Looks like it's based on sort of like a deep house sort of vibe. So I'm literally going to go through some of the samples. Now there's 176 samples. I probably won't go through all of them. I may pause the video at some point and move it forward a little bit so you haven't got to sit through me looking for the samples. The second part of this video really is going to be about me getting the samples into Ableton and coming up with a track idea. Again, I don't claim to be a professional at all. It's just about me having fun with the tools that I've got and making a bit of music, and hopefully you guys can learn something from it or you enjoy the video. So without further ado, I'm going to start to go through some of these samples. Guys, another thing, you may hear a few sort of like clicking and popping and scraping around in the background. I haven't got a proper microphone stand yet, so the microphone's sitting on the desk and my room's not acoustically treated, so you're just going to have to bear with me, guys, until I get this whole setup up and running properly. But let's start going through some of these samples. Now I quite like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pack, and they're called repacks. So basically you build your own packs. So I'm going to click on new pack and let's just call it Rooftop Repack. Add. So what it's done there is it's added this Rooftop Repack. If you like the sound of a sample, you can click on the ellipsis button here on the right hand side and you can add it to your repack, and we should get a little message that comes up there saying it's been added. So let's keep going through. That kick's quite weighty. If you want to use the keyboard to go through the samples, you can just by pressing up and down, and you can re-trigger the samples by pressing the left arrow on your keys as well. That kick's heavy, I've got to take it. Now another thing you can do is, I'm clicking on the ellipsis button to add these sounds to the pack, but you can actually drag them into your pack as well. Kick's a bit too long for me. Is it me, or does the start of that sound like the opening to Game of Thrones? Yeah, it's too freaky. Can't have that. Bit of a reverse crash there. I think I'm going to use that. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to drag it into the rooftop repack. Easy as that. That sounds familiar as well. Could be useful. Now I don't like to go for drum loops because I like to build all my drums myself, all my drum patterns myself, but some of the loops, like the more percussive ones that haven't got a kick drum in there, they can be really handy when you're building a track. Sometimes you might be making a track and it might sound a little bit empty, or you want to just have it sounding fresh and have a bit of progression in the groove. If you use a drum loop, and if you use it quite cleverly, i.e. you cut it down and you only use certain parts of the loop, filter out all the bottom end, it can make a nice subtle difference to your track. So maybe if we find a few percussive loops, we'll take those. I really like the fill bit on that. Quite cool. Now that chord's lovely. The way I'd use that chord is I'd probably drop it into the simpler device in Ableton, take the bottom part of it off and literally play it like an instrument. So we'll take that as well. Could be quite nice. It's really weird. I've probably got 1,000,001 crash sounds like that, but you can't have too many. See, the reason I'm avoiding that clap is it sounds like it's got a really, really small reverb on it. And it's cool. I don't know, it sounds like it's got really, really a load of stereo wideness on it, and that's something that I like to do personally when I'm doing my tracks. I like to widen it myself. Again, going to avoid that one. Simple reason being, it's got loads of stereo wideness. It's already been panned to the left and the right with a ping pong delay, and you can recreate that yourself in Ableton. So I suppose the message I'm trying to get across here is, if you want to use sounds like that and just throw them into your arrangement, great, it can work for you, don't get me wrong. But I prefer all my samples quite dry, so I can add all the effects on myself. I just think it's a bit more creative that way. I really like that, and I've got some sort of idea about playing that in an instrument as well. But we'll watch this space. And we'll move it over for now. That sounds very much like a breakdown. So, you know, when you come to the breakdown, all the drums stop, massive crash, and just that in the background sounds quite euphoric, and we'll keep that. Don't know whether you heard that, but this clip that I've got highlighted at the moment, which is just a kick sample on its own, I'm just re-triggering that. The loop below it, which is this one, is basically that kick but in a loop, and you find that a lot with sample packs. Say for argument's sake I were to go and purchase this sample pack from Loop Masters, I'd find in the loop section you would have this loop, and then in the one shot section or the drum hit section you'd have this kick. So in essence what they're doing is they're charging you for the same thing twice, because what you could do in essence is you could throw this drum loop into a simpler device in Ableton, or into a sampler, or into anything really, in any DAW, and you'd be able to recreate a one shot. So that's why I like Splice so much. Now this happens sometimes on Splice, it'll stop playing the audio. Don't know whether it's just me on my PC, but it just seems to have stopped playing all the audio samples. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to bore you too much because you've already had 12 minutes of me going through these. I'm going to pause it here, and the next time we sort of like pick this up, it'll be when we're actually got the samples that I've collated, I've downloaded them, and we've got them in Ableton. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you shortly. How's it going, guys? Baker back here now. Right, what I did is I selected roughly around about 27 samples from the Rooftop After Hours pack in Splice, and you can see what it's done is it's downloaded them using the Splice desktop app, and it's put them straight into my sample library. So we got Splice Sounds to Sample Rooftop After Hours, and if I expand that, you can see that it's got all my samples here, and it's actually sorted them out into what audio key they're in as well. So we've got one shot drums, we've got chords, so it's amazing how it's sorted all these out, and that's without me having to do anything. I haven't put them into that sort of like order, it's done it automatically. That's amazing. Right, what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to shut up, I'm going to mute the microphone, I'm going to move it out the way, and I'm just going to start playing around. So for the people that like to watch videos where there's not much of a narrator talking over them, this bit will be for you guys. I may butt in a couple of instances just to let you know what I'm doing. I may even have to cut this video short. I'm expecting a phone call to go and collect a very drunken wife and 3 of her drunken friends very shortly, because they've been out for a few drinks tonight. But yeah, I'm going to mute the microphone, and we'll see what we can get. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing on screen, so you can see how I'm using just this pack that I've just got from Splice to make this. You know I said. Sorry guys, bit of feedback there. You know I said I was expecting the drunken phone call or the drunken text message to go and pick them up. Not getting that yet. They're off into town, so it looks like I've got a bit more time to stick around with you guys. Right guys, I'm sorry this video has been a bit disjointed. I'm getting really drunken text messages off my wife. May have to shoot out and run her into town with her friends because the taxi's going to cost a lot of money, and I like money and they may as well just give me the money. I'm going to carry on as long as I can guys. 8 minutes into the video at the minute. I'm hoping to get more of a track built up than this, but watch this space. See, now there's a perfect example of how a track can take on so many different directions. Guys, I've said this before, I'm no professional, I'm just messing around really in the studio and recording it for the fun of it. But if you listen to this, and then if you take a listen to it without this chord stab and with the bass line, two totally different tracks, two totally different, in my opinion, goes in a totally different direction genre wise, using exactly the same drums, exactly the same vocal hits. It's crazy. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I think with the two videos together it's going to be about half an hour. It's a shame really that I haven't been able to carry on a little bit more, but you get the idea. I went on to Splice, I grabbed myself some samples. Within half an hour I've got a little bit of a track idea down. Some of this you might find useful, some of it you won't. Guys, I'm just here trying to share something that I do and something that I really enjoy doing. So I hope you guys do enjoy the videos. Please like the video, share it, subscribe it. It'd be really nice to grow the channel and keep doing these videos. I'm actually getting into it, I really enjoy it. This is my little bit of a de-stress at the end of my stressful day, doing my normal job. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in to Baker Does Beats. I'm Baker from Big Boy Beats. I'll see you again soon.